Hey guys, this is Anthony Morganti from anthonymorganti.com, and this is episode 24 of Photo Critiques. And in Photo Critiques, people send me in some of their best images, and I critique each shot with suggestions on how they could improve it. And hopefully all of us become better photographers by watching these critiques. Today I'm pleased to critique the work of Blake Uden, I believe it's pronounced. It might be Juden, and maybe it's neither. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name, but I'm pretty sure I got Blake right. Blake sent me in a few images, and I'll get to those in a minute. If you guys could do me a favor though and subscribe to my YouTube channel and share and like the videos, I'd really appreciate it. And I'd like to thank everyone who has subscribed to my channel already. Thank you very much. Okay, this first shot of the spider, it's kind of a classic macro shot, and it's a very interesting spider. Now I apologize, the image is a little small, and I could probably, let's see, blow it up a little bit. And what I wanted to point out by blowing it up is you could see the focus is soft. It's not very well focused. Whenever you're doing macro, especially on something now like this, you're pretty flat to the subject. So in macro, by its definition, you have limited depth of field usually. But in this case, we're pretty flat to the spider. So most of the spider should be in focus. Unfortunately, it's a little soft. So in macro shots, you really need a tripod usually, and very carefully focus. And often if you use live view on your camera and zoom in, you could look at the back screen and you could get a better focus than if you use autofocus. And so take that into consideration in the future. Turn on live view on your camera and zoom in and manually focus to really get a super tight focus on the macro shot. This shot here is very well focused. Conversely, the only thing, it's a really nice shot. Well, there's two things. Typically, the stem of this weed or whatever that this dragonfly is feeding on or about to land on or whatever is in front of him. You really always want that out of the way. So you hopefully would have got this shot from the other direction, so you had all dragonfly. The other thing is the background is just not blurred out enough. It's a little too busy, so it's distracting us from the rest of the shot. So you want to use a wide open aperture, so that means a really low f-stop number, like 2.8 if you have that type of lens, a macro lens that goes down to 2.8. That would be optimum. Let's see if on this one we use 6.3, so that just gave us a little too much depth of field. Again, we're shooting pretty flat onto the dragonfly, so the depth of field of him wouldn't be affected too much by an f at 2.8. We'd still have, this part is probably the closest to the camera lens, and this part is probably the furthest away. And we probably still at f at 2.8 would have had all of him in focus. This back here would have been more blurry and less distracting. So two suggestions: you always want to try to photograph the insects so that they're in front of the plant, not the plant in front of them. And what you'd like to do is set up your tripod ahead of time and just sit and wait for them, focus on this point of this plant and wait for a dragonfly to come in, or whatever, a butterfly, anything, to light onto the weed, and then take the shot. Hopefully the dragonfly decides to come in from the other angle and you're getting the back of the dragonfly. And use as wide an aperture as possible. Try to shoot it so it's flat on, so that you get the depth of field is acceptable for the shot. Now I got to zoom out for this guy. This rhino, it's an interesting shot. Well, we'll zoom back in. Very nicely focused. The eye, as I mentioned many times in the critiques, you want the eyes to be in very good focus. And we have very good focus in the eye. We have nice color. The composition, though, with this wall back here and this cement grate or whatever it is right here, it's just kind of distracting. Whenever you're in a zoo or anything, you always want to try to photograph the animal so when people look at it, they think it's in the wild. So in this case, it might have been impossible to photograph this rhino in, to make it look like it was in the wild. But keep that in mind if you're photographing things at a zoo. Always try to stand in an area so you're getting an angle that maybe cuts out any walls, any fences, any people. Try to get it so that the animal looks like it's in the wild. And this last shot here, it's just kind of a study of an airplane. People who are into avionics would probably love this shot. It's very well focused. We're, I think, mainly looking at the engines here with their, I don't know if you call them cowlings, or the covers are off the engines. And it's an interesting shot. I don't have too much to critique about it. There's some natural light coming in from the sky through these skylights in the hangar. And I would imagine there was probably some other lights used, but it's a good shot. There's it's like I said, it's more of a niche shot. It's something that someone who are into airplanes like this would love this shot. But to the average Joe looking at this, they might not, just it's not much of a shot to them. So this is a shot for the hobbyist that's into this. So I'd like to thank Blake for sending me in his images. So I'd like everyone to keep that in mind if you're going to shoot like dragonflies or butterflies, damselflies. Try to look around, sit like you're around a pond, let's say. Sit there for a little while and see where you see them repeatedly going to. There might be a flower or a plant that they go to all the time, and try to see what angle they attack it from. Do they come from low from the side? Do they come whatever? And then determine where you could set up your tripod so you could pre-focus on that spot, and you could sit there and wait for them to keep coming to that flower, let's say. They keep it coming to that flower, and in an hour you'd probably get a lot of great shots. So be patient and do it that way. Come in and observe and look and see what they're doing, and I'm sure you'd get a lot of shots. The other tip is, if you're at a zoo, is always try to photograph the animal in such a way that it does not look like it's in a zoo. So position yourself and get an angle so that you're cutting out any walls or any fences and people, and maybe you have to get just a tight headshot of the animal or something like that. But that's the way you'd make the most appealing shot of an animal in the zoo. So again, thank you, Blake, and I'd like to thank everyone who has watched my videos and subscribed to my channel. Thank you very much.